Hello and welcome back to Typical City. Christmas time is rapidly approaching, and that can only mean one other thing is rapidly approaching as well. And it ain't Santa, it's January transfer rumours. Transfer rumours galore now, that's what we're going to hear. But how many of these are legitimate? How many of these are real, concrete rumours that could prove to be true? We'll get onto that shortly. But first I wanted to say thank you to you guys yesterday. I thanked you yesterday for the 7,000 subscriber landmark that I achieved. I was pleased with that, but I was more pleased with the reaction to saying thank you for the 7,000 subscribers, because honestly, you guys piled in the comments, and some of the stuff you all said, like, honestly, it blew me away. I really wasn't expecting it, and the kind words that so many of you have said, and you seem committed to the channel and really, really supportive, and honestly, it means the world to me. It really does. It's so nice and so inspiring to keep going and make more, better stuff for you guys. Love it. Thank you so much. But Rafael Leão, I mean, what an unbelievable player he is. Absolutely snap your hand off for Rafael Leão, and I will get onto him shortly because there's loads to get through this morning. Starting with Lucas Paqueta, though. Lucas Paqueta is a player that I'm very much a big fan of. It's freezing in Manchester right now, -4 degrees I woke up to this morning, which I wasn't very happy about, taking my son to school this morning, dodging all the ice patches and wrapping up warm. But speaking of ice, City are potentially putting this deal on ice. Because of the gambling, that's the issue. Because of the gambling accusations that Lucas Paqueta is facing right now, it hasn't been cleared. I wonder why. I am dubious about the whole situation. The fact that the accusations are coming from Betway, who sponsor West Ham, there's something fishy about that. I'm not a big fan of the idea of the one and only source coming from the sponsor that don't want to see Lucas Paqueta leave the club. I don't know. Not a fan of it. But I am a fan of the player. And I do think a lot of City fans, I see a lot of fans mixed on Lucas Paqueta. What would he do at Manchester City? Could he be Bernardo Silva's replacement? I'm just going to pop his stats on the board for you right now, as well as a couple of heat maps I want to show you in a minute as well, to indicate that his skill is one thing. I think his skill is immense. He's such a skillful player. So almost sometimes a little bit showboaty. A little bit of a prima donna every now and again, tries to a few too many flicks and tricks that I think Pep would nip in the bud and just say, keep it simple, mate, pass that ball. Things that I think Pep wouldn't coach out of him too much, but a little bit overly zealous and flamboyant with his skills. But his work rate is totally underappreciated certainly by non-West Ham fans. I guarantee you speak to West Ham fans and ask about how hard does Lucas Paqueta work, they'll say immensely hard. Immensely hard. His work rate is through the roof. And to me, he's starting to look like a potential Bernardo Silva replacement. Very different type of players, but I only have to remind you about Yaya Touré's replacement was Bernardo Silva. Now, you compare Yaya Touré to Bernardo Silva, attribute-wise, physicality-wise, play style-wise, very, very different. But Bernardo Silva came in as Yaya's replacement, effectively. And, I mean, they are opposing players doing slightly different roles, but the versatility that Bernardo Silva provided was something we weren't expecting. And I think the same can be said about Lucas Paqueta. These are his attacking stats that you can see. 5 goals and an assist this season, 1.5 key passes per game, 1.5 dribbles per game. Defensively, again, just to show you his versatility, 2.8 tackles per game, really good. No errors whatsoever leading to a goal. Interceptions, basically 1 per game. And a clearance per game. But this is his heat map for last season, where he really was showing that adaptable, multifaceted approach of Lucas Paqueta everywhere, basically. I guarantee you look at Bernardo Silva's heat map for the 22-23 season, it wouldn't be too dissimilar to this. This season, though, he's definitely got a different role. He's playing on the left-hand side a lot, tucking in a little bit. It's interesting to see what West Ham and how they're employing Lucas Paqueta as his new role. It just screams versatility to me. But the issue for me is that I think the price tag is very high, very high. He's 26, so now is the time for me, because of his age, approaching that peak part of his career. It's now or never for me. Or maybe not never, but I certainly wouldn't go in for him next summer. If we have to wait till the summer, looking at a 27-year-old that's going to be, arguably the release clause is reported around 85 million or so. So right now, if we were to go in for him in January, you're looking at 90, 95 potentially, and getting far too close to 100 million for me, for Lucas Paqueta. But someone I would definitely love to see at Manchester City. Where he would play from January onwards, no idea, because he ain't getting ahead of Bernardo Silva, because I think Bernardo Silva is one of the best players in the world. I think he's that good and totally underrated by rival fans, totally underrated. But where do you see Lucas Paqueta? Get those answers in the comments below. I really want to hear them. But then, moving on to another transfer rumour. I'm not convinced by this one. Gnabry's a good player. He's a good player. But, I mean, I feel like he's approaching the wrong end of his career. In his prime, I think Gnabry was an unstoppable player. An unstoppable player. On his day, he was just like, there was nothing you could do to stop the guy. I just feel like injuries are starting to play a part in his career. He's got this season. He's had major hip problems. He's fractured his forearm. Not really a sign of an injury-prone player. That's just unfortunate. And he's got a lot of illnesses as well. As you can see on his stats there, he's played 10 appearances this season and only got a goal to his name. One big chance created. So this season he's struggled a little bit. I mean, he's a former Arsenal player, isn't he? So maybe we could see one of those Adebayor moments, potentially running down the wing and knee sliding in front of the Arsenal fans to give it one of them to the Arsenal fans. That might be worth buying him alone just for that. But no, there is another Bayern Munich winger, though, that I would prefer instead of Gnabry, to be honest. I think I've pronounced Gnabry's name differently about 6 times. 6 different ways I've pronounced his name. Honestly, I'm not convinced by this transfer rumour. It just smacks a bit of, I don't know, a slow news day for people. So not convinced by Gnabry at all. But moving on to another player that I know very little about. Estevão Willian is a Brazilian 16-year-old attacking midfielder. Straight away, I know nothing about the guy. Know nothing about him at all. I went to YouTube, had a look at him. I didn't know what foot he was. That's a huge compliment. Very ambipedal, which is the word for, instead of ambidextrous, you can write with both hands. Ambipedal is using both feet. I watched him for about 5 minutes. I was like, what foot is he? He's smashing it in the back of the net with his right foot and then with his left foot. And then when he took a free kick, I was like, well, you're going to take your free kicks with your strongest foot. He's left-footed. He's nicknamed Messinho, and I'm getting a bit sick of that as well. Everyone's either the next Messi or the next Ronaldo. No, he's Estevão Willian. Why can't he just be his own thing? Why does everyone have to be the next Messi or the next Ronaldo? I don't see it, and it puts a stupid amount of pressure on these kids. But there's a limited amount of stats actually available for him because he's in a lesser-known league in Brazil playing for Palermas, and yeah, there you go. They're the stats that are available for him because he's so young. He's played 594 competitive minutes, 2 goals and an assist. He looks good. In terms of comparisons, if you do want a comparison, what screamed to me is Robinho. Not just physically, he looks a little bit like Robinho in the face, but he has that flair about him, and he has this brilliant bit of skill. Gets himself out of tight corners really well. It looks interesting. Someone for the future, potentially. United, Chelsea. United are linked with everybody, aren't they? United are linked with everybody, and it seems like it's like a courtesy to them. It's like a token gesture to include United in rumours nowadays. Because if City or Real Madrid or Barca come in for these players, or Bayern Munich, they're the interesting clubs now for players. United are down the list now. I'm sorry. They're just down the list. He has got a £47 million release clause, which, again, very affordable for all the clubs that are being linked with him. So many. Dortmund are in that list as well. Real Madrid are in the list. Chelsea are also in that list of interest. So a hot prospect, one for the future, potentially. Exciting. Now, Rafael Leão. This is the one. This is the one. The only thing I would suggest about Rafael Leão is, like, what have we looked at here? Lucas Paqueta could play on the wing. Estevão Willian could play on the wing. I mean, he's one for the future, obviously. Gnabry on the wing, potentially. And now Rafael Leão, another winger. We've just signed Jeremy Doku. What does that mean for, one, Phil Foden, who's pretty much been playing most of the season right wing, sometimes inverted. He did play a lot more centrally midweek against RB Leipzig. I love seeing him there. I'm excited about his future being centrally. Hopefully, the idea that City are going for another winger could potentially mean pushing Phil Foden centrally. But then there's another player that comes into question, is Jack Grealish. And what do you do with a £100 million player who's sat on the bench? Because he will be benched by Rafael Leão. Right now, he's being benched by Doku. More often than not, Doku is impressing more than Jack Grealish is. Grealish needs to step his game up. He needs to recognise there's competition now in the squad. Doku's providing that competition. Jack Grealish has to step his game up. You add Rafael Leão to our squad. Jack Grealish maybe going inside alongside Phil Foden. Potentially, that excites me. He's more of a number 10 to me, Jack Grealish. I've always thought he's more central-based. He's definitely had his heyday at Aston Villa, playing the best football I've ever seen him play was in the centre of the pitch. Where's he going to play, though? You know, and the fact that City are clearly going for big, powerful... Oh, Doku's not big, but he's a physically strong guy, isn't he? He's a short guy, but an absolute tank, Doku. Rafael Leão, he's a match winner. You know, he's an absolute match winner. Doku is the same. Rafael Leão on one wing, Doku on the other. Sensational. Honestly, this guy is an absolute worldie. £130 million, though, is the £131 million is the reported release clause, which is a lot of money. A lot of money. He has just signed a 5-year contract, which keeps him at AC Milan until 2028. That's purely to get that release clause included, to make sure AC Milan are getting the money, because he's 24 now. Which is a good age to be buying a player like this. And if you're going to be spending 130 million, you want to get good years out of him. 16 appearances this season, 1,184 minutes, 4 goals, 4 assists, 14 big chances created across all competitions, 1.4 key passes per game. Last season, look at that. Serie A Player of the Year last season, the Division's Player of the Year, helped them win Serie A, fully deserved. He played an integral part in that. 48 appearances last season, 3,487 minutes, 16 goals, 15 assists, 20 big chances created, 1.4 key pass. Honestly, it makes you chuckle, doesn't it? Reading those numbers, you're like, oh, what a player. What a player. Unbelievable talent, incredibly exciting. Would he be able to fit straight into the City squad in the fact that our wingers now have to have such versatility to their game, don't they? Only Doku really has been signed as an out-and-out winger. I don't think we're ever going to see Doku play through the middle. Rafael's played centre-forward for AC Milan this season already, and numerous times. He's played up front. That doesn't mean Erling Haaland's position's in threat. There isn't a striker in the world that would threaten Erling Haaland for his position, thankfully. But his versatility is another string to his bow. You know, this guy is going to be an absolute worldie, and if anyone in the Premier League signs him, their team is definitely going to be a better team for it and have a much better chance of winning trophies. You put him in a City side and it's devastation. It'll leave a path of destruction in his wake. Honestly, this guy, incredibly exciting, Rafael Leão. I haven't spoken about him before on this channel. How true this rumour actually is remains to be seen, but someone I would absolutely snap your hands off. Blues, that completes the transfer roundup for today. Lots of news to get through. Good players, some okay players, hot prospect players, potential of Lucas Paqueta deal being put on ice. What do you make of that? What do you make of the youngster, Estevão Willian? Serge Gnabry, not keen on that one myself. Rafael Leão, that's the one, isn't it? What do you think, though? Get in the comments below. I really want to hear your thoughts. Like and subscribe. Typical City is the channel, and I'll see you in the next one.
This is Typical City now, holding up silverware.